What is going on, guys? Colorful here with my 2013 NFL mock draft. I did it last year and it completely failed, so let's try this again. Let me adjust this camera really quick. But yeah, I did one last year and we do one this year. Today's Wednesday, a week and day before the draft. Gonna do two. Next week's might come out Wednesday or Thursday. I haven't decided yet, seeing that the draft is at like 8 at night and probably ends midnight. So yeah, I'm just doing the first round like usual. To do 7 rounds, I don't know that many players in the draft, and that would be a very long time. So I think that's just, you know, a little bit obnoxious. I fucked that up. Yeah. So last year's went pretty bad because the new CBA allows you to trade pretty much draft picks at a cheap price, and the rookie wage scale is kind of manageable, because they made it so you could use them for 2 or 3 years and cut them without having a hefty price like a Jamarcus Russell or something like that. This setup for this one, the first one, is just I'm gonna go through the draft, mock draft, and that's it. Next week's I'm gonna make predictions. Who's gonna be the steal of the first round? Who's a sleeper? What pick what pick could surprise people and everything. A whole just little type of awards type of thing, and who I think the winners of the draft will be. So, and then I'll do a post draft thing, winners of the draft, losers, and whatnot, and surprises. So there's be 3 videos with the NFL draft, 2 mock drafts, and a post draft video, and then the normal videos start again. I know I said that a couple weeks ago. Decided to just wait till NFL draft. So yeah, 2 minutes in, we're just gonna blast through this. I'm gonna name some. I'm gonna name who I think is gonna get picked and who I think could go there, and maybe a sleeper or two. So we're going to start with the Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid, new coach. Alex Smith, quarterbacks. Quarterbacks out of the question. They did have a pre-draft visit with Geno Smith, but that's just to rise the cost of the #1 pick, because they're likely looking to trade the pick. That I think that'll be their first option. If they don't pick, they don't trade the pick, I think they'll go offensive tackle, Luke Joeckel or Eric Fisher. And that probably makes Brandon Albert extendable, which they're trying to trade him for a 2nd round pick. So they're probably looking for a tackle here, which they probably should, because Albert probably wants a lot of money and he doesn't want to play right tackle. So a team like Miami might trade them. So I expect the Chiefs either draft a tackle or trade down. I'm gonna go 50-50 on what happens. I think it just depends on how they feel about Brandon Albert and how Brandon Albert feels. So I think Luke Joeckel here. Eric Fisher, they might take, because he could play right tackle if they keep Albert for a long term. So yeah, nothing special from the Chiefs. They really don't need the first pick. They're pretty solid at every position. Offensive line's kind of sketchy, but it's not, you know, terrible offensive line. Number 2, Jacksonville Jaguars. A lot of speculation that Geno Smith can go here. I don't think they should draft him here. Next year's quarterback draft class is pretty stacked, so there's really no point of, you know, reaching for Geno Smith at this point. I think Geno Smith should be a top 10 pick, but at number 2, it's kind of a reach. They should go defense here. They need defense. Either Sharrif, Floyd, or Dion Jordan. I think they're gonna go Dion Jordan because he fits the Leo position that Gus Bradley runs, which is the position for that defense, the franchise position. And he fits what he wants, because, you know, he could play down in the field, or he could play standing up. And I think that's just easy pick, because he's arguably the top prospect in the draft class. You could say Sharrif, Floyd. There's other options. This is a weak draft class, so there's a lot of names floating for the top prospect. But I think Dion Jordan's a smart pick here. Geno Smith would be the dumb pick. They could go 2nd round and draft a quarterback like Matt Barkley or Tyler Wilson or something. But I'd expect them, seeing they got Jones-Drew back, that they should probably run the ball more and give Gabbert one more chance. They do have Henny, so they're not in a bad quarterback position, but they are in one of the worst. Not the worst, but they're, they can handle it for one more year. Seeing next year's draft class, potential draft class, I should say. Number 3, the Oakland Raiders. Al Davis no longer being the owner. It isn't going to be Tavon Austin or Geno Smith. It's be a defensive player. The Raiders did pretty good in free agency. They lost a lot of players. They don't have much cap space. They traded Carson Palmer, which they should have just cut him because it saves them $13 million. And so they traded him for like a 6th-round draft pick and they saved $5 million. So they released players. A lot of players left, but they did a good job in free agency with the money they had. They brought quality players, and maybe not starting caliber, but role players. They brought in some players to help that defense. Offense, they really didn't add anything. They lost Mike Goodson. They cut Hayward Bay. And this is just in the draft to take the offensive players to the side. Number 3, you really have to go defensive. They do need help on defense, so I think Sharrif Floyd is the guy to go here. Once again, he kind of rose up. He was like, I don't even know if he was in the 1st round like a month ago, and now he's 3rd pick in my mock draft, and several others. Other options here, probably Lotulelei. I just don't see him going anywhere else but defensive tackle. I think that'd be the smart thing because they cut Tommy Kelly, which is not a big deal. Richard Seymour, he was playing, but he's up there in age. They signed Vance Walker and Pat Sims, so there's kind of inconsistency is there. I fucked that up, man. Number 4, the Philadelphia Eagles. Geno Smith is not going to them. I don't know why people keep saying it. I don't think he does. Why would they sign Michael Vick, Dennis Dixon, and keep Nick Foles, which I guess the Chiefs offered a 2nd-round pick for, if they don't see him as the future there. I mean, 2nd-round pick, if you're going to keep him as a backup, and the Eagles, who need to draft players, and you're not going to take a 2nd-round pick for Nick Foles, that just shows me they do not want Geno Smith. I just think it's a popular place because they're like, oh, Chip Kelly needs a fast quarterback, but he doesn't really. He's got Michael Vick, Dennis Dixon, So yeah, I think Eric Fisher goes here at number 4. Another option is Lotulelei. If you take right tackle, Eagles take right tackle, move Herman's to right guard, arguably one of the top offensive lines on paper. You have to see it show production, but Eric Fisher would be the smart pick here. Offensive line troubles, draft him, boom. Your troubles are pretty gone. Because if Chase Peter gets hurt again, move Eric Fisher to left tackle, boom. You don't have to start King Dunlap, who's not on that team anymore, and Demetrius Bell, I think, is still on there, but I really don't care. Number 5, Detroit Lions. They're just going to take best player available. There isn't really no major need. They did, they filled them all pretty much in the draft. Not the draft, free agency. Reggie Bush. They brought Jason Jones in for defensive tackle. They released Van Bosch, but that isn't really a big thing. They lost Cliff Averill. Brought back their secondary. I think they added a little bit more to it. I don't think so. Added Reggie Bush, which is big for them. So I'd expect them to go defensive line or corner. Ezekiel from BYU. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but he's a defensive end from BYU, so he played football for like 2 years. And Milliner at number 5 is kind of, he's kind of fallen off a little bit here. I would go defensive line because they lost Cliff Averill, they cut Van Bosch. I think their backups too, some of them were free agents, so I think the smart thing here is Ezekiel. If Eric Fisher falls on, they'll take him because Jeff Backus retired, so I think Eric Fisher would be instantly, well, he won't get past number 5. And number 6, the Cleveland Browns. I don't understand why everybody's like not talking Geno Smith for them. The Browns need a quarterback. They hate Whedon. I hate Whedon. They traded Colt McCoy. Their coach, Rod Shadursky, I think his name is, coached Cam Newton when he came in the league. I think this, I don't know why Geno Smith hasn't been mentioned with the Browns. We go to them? Probably not. They're probably just going to ride out with workhorse Trent Richardson and whatnot. And number 6, I think the Browns could be an option for, you know, many things. I just think they're just going to take a smart pick here. I think they're just going to take a risk because their offensive line is better than usual. They need a wide receiver, but at number 6, it's a reach really. So I think they go D. Milliner. They really need to add next to Joe Hayden. They released Sheldon Brown, who was up there in age, but he played pretty good. So add D. Milliner. You got a nice little duo there. They really don't have a major need here to draft. They'll probably go best player available or just reach for somebody because, like I said, the new CBA allows that. And number 7, the Arizona Cardinals, offensive attack. They're going to go offensive line here. Either Lane Johnson from Oklahoma or Chance Warmack or Jonathan Cooper. He's kind of been rising. I'm recording this on Wednesday, the week before the draft, so there'll be a lot of smoke screens coming out sooner or later to general interest and everything. You know the whole deal with that if you watch the draft. But training for Carson Palmer, that just shows me that, you know, they're going to ride it out for another year. They're not going to draft Geno Smith. They're not going to pay Carson Palmer to sit on the bench, so Carson Palmer is their guy for this year at least. He passed for 4,000 yards last year, so if they need him to pass, they'll pass, but they need to protect him. And Lane Johnson would be that guy. Bobby Massey came around last year to right tackle. What the plan is with him, I don't know. Right tackle, left tackle. I think he stays at right tackle. They really don't have a guard need. They could just sign a veteran guard, but they need a tackle. So Lane Johnson, I think, goes to the Cardinals. If 3 tackles come off in the first 6 picks, which is possible because, like I said, Miami, the Chargers, any offensive tackle need team could trade up with the Browns, or even the Chiefs. So I think if the tackle falls to the Cardinals, they'll jump on it. If not, they'll trade down or draft a guard, but kind of a reach at 7. At number 8, my Buffalo Bills. Personally, I think Geno Smith is the pick here. I think it should be. I'm mocking that it will be. Any other option, Tavon Austin, he would be a fit there because we need a deep threat. He's fast, motherfucker. We don't need like a possession receiver. We have that in Stevie Johnson. So I think the 3 options here: Geno Smith, Tavon Austin, and Chance Warmack. Starting with who we might get drafted here, I could see this as a sleeper pick. Kyle Williams is up there in age, so you know they could take him, but I doubt that. But I just say this as a sleeper pick. I think this would be an offensive pick, if anything. The reason I have them taking Geno Smith here is because, yes, next year's quarterback draft is stacked. We signed Kevin Cobb, but it was like a backup quarterback job. They're gonna have a quarterback competition in camp. The Bills could draft Ryan Nasby. Everybody thinks he's going to go to the Bills. But Geno Smith played against Doug Moreau, our coach, when he was at Syracuse, and so he might know his weaknesses and whatnot. Number 8, it's kind of a reach for Geno Smith, but like I said, I think he's a top 10 guy this year. I think just the reason behind this, I think there is no guarantee that there will be a whole bunch of quarterbacks next year coming out. Johnny Manziel might be like, I want to stay. Teddy Bridgewater, I think, is actually a senior next year, so I think he might come out. But Jared Clowney is going to be there, so like, take a quarterback this year. You get first pick, you take Clowney. I don't care if you need a quarterback, you take Clowney because he's a beast. So I think Geno Smith is that pick for the reason is next year there is no certainty in where you can be on who's going to be first pick, who's going to be there. One of those quarterbacks could fail next year, so take Geno Smith this year, groom him maybe for a year or 2, and just take that chance. Like I said, the CBA, if he doesn't work out, you can just cut him without no big hit to your cap room. So I think it's just a smart pick at 8. At number 9, the great New York Jets. If Geno Smith were to follow the Jets, they wouldn't pick him. Everybody thinks, oh, they could. They just have too many quarterbacks. If Mark Sanchez wasn't there, they would have. Their whole team looked different than Mark Sanchez, but they're $17 million for 1 year for a quarterback that caliber, who should be a third string, is on that team. It's just, I don't know. They did a good job for agency. The GM they brought in did a really good job. I'm not gonna lie. I think the Jets should just go best player available here. They need talent. They might have the 13th pick if the Bucs are the only really contenders right now that we know of for Darrelle Revis. And if I'm personally John Isaiah, I think his name is, the GM of the Jets, I would trade Revis. He just wants more money after you gave him a contract, and he's coming off a 20 seal. So trade him for the picks you need, add talent to that roster, which heavily needs it. 19th pick and 13th pick is not bad. Even in a draft like this, it's not that bad, because you could take defense and offense, or offense and offense, or defense and defense. So number 9, Lotulelei falls to them. It's an option. Tavon Austin, D. Milliner, Barkevious, Mingo. But I think they go Lotulelei. He another arguably top player of this draft. He's a nose tackle. They need a nose tackle. There is a need for that. They could go offense, but like I said, Mark Sanchez is gone next year. They'll have cap space to, take whoever they want. And if they don't have Sean Green anymore. They have Mike Goodson and Bill Powell, so their running game might be a little bit better. But add defense. I mean, you just take best player available. Like I said, the Jets need talent. And if they have the 13th pick, they can, Tavon Austin can easily follow them there. He just boom, falls to them. They could take Lotulelei and Tavon Austin, the 2 talked about prospects in this draft. Easy draft for them, but depends what happens. Number 10, Tennessee Titans, very active at free agency. They redid the offensive line with Andy LaVitri. Options here: Jonathan Cooper, Chance Warmack, Kenny Vaccaro, I don't know, the safety from Texas. They did sign George Wilson, so I think they'll go offensive line here. LaVitri is one of the better offensive linemen in the league, so he'll play left guard like he did in Buffalo. I'm going to go Chance Warmack here. I just think they just want to build that offensive line. Protect Jay Glocker, better running game. The defense is, they added some pieces to the defense. They added Delaney Walker, so run blocking's a little bit better. So why not add to that with probably one of the best guards, the best guard in the draft. And he played at Alabama, so he's kind of pro ready, if you ask me. So I think Titans go Chance Warmack. At number 11, San Diego Chargers. I could see them trading up, really. They need offensive linemen. Jared Gaither retired, I think. They cut him anyway, so it doesn't matter. So they need offensive linemen, but unfortunately I'm not doing trades, so they don't get offensive linemen. They could take guard Jonathan Cooper. I think at number 11, they lost Sean Phillips. They really don't have a pass rush anymore. So I'm going to say, maybe a little of a shocker here, but I think the Chargers' new resume, the coach is Mike McCoy from the Broncos, so he's seen pass rushers, Von Miller and that. I think it comes down to Mingo or Jarvis. I think they're just going to... It's tough because Jarvis Jones has injury history, so I'm going to say number 11, Barkevious Mingo to the Chargers. I think Jarvis Jones will probably slip to the mid rounds because of his injury history, and there's kind of questions with his run defending. So I think Mingo will go to the Chargers. At number 12, we have the Cleveland Browns. Not the Cleveland Browns. The Miami Dolphins. Terrible free agency. Yes, they signed all the big name players, but free agency is going to make you a Super Bowl team. For free agency, you sign one big player every couple of years. you sign your role players pretty much. And they just went out. They cut everybody from the linebacker core, which was a top 10 one, and signing players that weren't even top 10 linebackers. Philip Weir, they gave money to. He kind of had a one-year wonder year. There was some good signings by them, but I think Justin Keller's their best signing, to be honest. They just threw money out, and they should have just got Mike Wallace, re-signed their corners. They have no corners, and they have to play the what is it? They have to play the Saints, the Falcons, the Panthers, the Buccaneers, the Patriots, the Steelers, the Ravens, the Bengals. It's going to be a tough year pass defense wise. So I think at number 12, the Miami Dolphins take Xavier Rhodes from Florida State. They need a corner. They're just going to be dumb and take somebody else. They're going to take like a Tavon Austin or something. But I don't know. It just feels they need to take a corner. They just completely left that open. So Xavier Rhodes from Florida State, number 12. I'm kind of hurry this up because we're at 21 minutes. Number 13, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's likely they probably won't have this pick. But if they do have this pick, I think Sheldon Richardson, defensive tackle from Missouri. They don't really have a stellar defensive tackle next to Joe McCoy. They should just add next to it. Their run defense was number 1 last year. They could use pass defense help, but like I said, Darrell Reeves might be likely to go to them. So they also signed Deshaun Goldson. So they're getting a little boost in the secondary already, so why not just take maybe best player available? At number 14, we have the Carolina Panthers. They could use wide receiver. They could use, they can use everything pretty much. I think they're going to go safety, though. Their safeties were terrible last year. No corners are there, so it would be a reach for 14 at corner, so wait till second round. Defensive tackle, there really isn't anything there. Jarvis Jones is an option here because he'll be a 3-4 guy. He won't be a 4-3. So I'm going to say Kenny Vaccaro from Texas, the safety. They need to upgrade the safeties, really. And why not do it at 14 when they don't have any options for corner? They could go Tavon Austin receiver, add Cam Newton another weapon, but I think it'd be smart to go defense with this pick. At number 15, we have the New Orleans Saints. Finally, the first round pick this year. Move to 3-4. They could go offensive tackle here. DJ Fluker. He's kind of a little bit of a reach here. But like I said, it's a bad draft, so nothing's really a reach this year unless you go deep. Options here, if Mingo falls to them, Jarvis Jones, Tavon Austin. Those are the 3 options, I think. They do need a pass rush, so they don't really have the top guys. Like, they don't have 3-4 guys on that team. They added Victor Butler, but I mean, he, hasn't seen much of him because he was behind DeMarcus Ware. So at number 15, I think they go Tavon Austin. Jarvis Jones is here, but like I said, if Mingo was here, they'd take Mingo. But he's not. Jarvis Jones is kind of sketchy with his injury in that. And so adding Tavon Austin, another weapon to the team, maybe take some pressure off Darren Sproles, who's up there in age. You could come out of this draft the best player, and he's got Drew Brees at quarterback. So I think Tavon Austin is the pick at number 15. I think it's just. I think if Mingo was there to take him, but if Mingo doesn't follow them, I think it's gonna be Tavon Austin. If they follow, if none of them follow, I would expect it to be Jarvis Jones. At number 16, the St. Louis Rams. At number 16, they have 2 first-round picks. So, offensive line will probably be the first pick. Like I said, 2 first picks in a pretty weak draft, so they could actually trade down maybe and stock more picks for next year maybe. I think the first option at 16 is DJ Fluker or Jonathan Cooper. They signed the Jake Long Roger Stafford's probably not going to stay because he doesn't want to play right tackle, even though he's terrible at left tackle. So they could add to it. They could add a guard. DJ Fluker could play offensive tackle or guard. Or they could draft Jonathan Cooper for center maybe. But I'm going to go with DJ Fluker here. He can play guard and tackle, so it's a need for the Rams. They need to give Sam Bradford protection. They already did that with Jake Long, but he's coming off injured. They don't really have the best depth at offensive line, so this is an easy pick for them. Take him. He'd probably play every position. There's another guy in the second who probably goes second round, Barrett Jones, he's a really good player, and I think they could look at him in the second round, or they could just go DJ Fluker. So I think that's just the Rams just need offensive line, and just need offense in general. At number 17, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're just going to take best player available. Their cap space isn't the greatest. So at number 17, I think Jarvis Jones. There's really nothing else. If you're going to let Jarvis Jones fall to a team mid-round like the Steelers, it's a threat no matter what. Even if he's got injury history or anything, they'll get production out of him. He's easily fit because James Harrison they cut. So if he's going to be top player coming out of this draft. So I think he'll follow the Steelers. There's some teams in front of him that could just snatch him up. Like I said, I'm not in the draft rooms with all these teams, so I don't know, who's gonna go where. Maybe we'll see like a Bruce Irvin type of pick. Number 18, we have the Dallas Cowboys. I think they'll go best player available too. They could use offensive linemen. There's really no other need. Linebacker maybe. But they're going to a 4-3, so their depth at linebacker is probably better than usual. Corner to the finance safety, they could use it, but there isn't really any options maybe. So I think at 18 the Dallas Cowboys are going to reach and take Matt Elam from Florida. He's really not a first round draft pick. He's kind of borderline first, but like I said, you can reach, and the Cowboys need safety help, so I think they'll go Matt Elam. At number 19, the New York Giants. Once again, they're going to go best player available. Rest of these teams down here are pretty stacked at whatever positions. Some of them have some minor needs, so I think at number 19, I think the New York Giants take Jonathan Cooper, the guard / center from North Carolina. Their offensive line is kind of sketchy, so I think Jonathan Cooper. If Chance Warmack falls to me too, that's a possibility. I think they will go guard, so no matter what who falls there, it feels like that, man. Number 20, Chicago Bears. They need linebacker help, so at this point, a lot of linebackers have been up and down. Some people, Arthur Brown from Kansas City is the best linebacker. Some people say Teo's not even he's like a third round draft pick. Alec Ogletree is more like a safety, off-field trouble, so they could use it. They could just sign Urlacher back, which they should, but they're just being idiots. They go tight end here. They did sign Martellus Bennett, but there's no he had a 1 year wonder here. So there's really here it's kind of like just you look at it and you never know. It's just kind of like I said, best player available. I'm gonna say 20. I think the Bears should probably take. I'm just trying to think and actually look at the players, but it's a hard pick to take because number 20 think they'll take Alec Ogletree. I just think they do need a linebacker. I think just the Bears in general, it's just I don't know. They could go off as a line here, but reality it's a reach. They overpaid Jermon Burchard. They should go offensive line here, but like I said, most of the top offensive linemen are going to be gone, and there's none of the other players that are worthy of a first-round pick. So I think Alec Ogletree will go to the Bears. Number 21, Cincinnati Bengals. They're just another team that's kind of like, what do they really need? They could use linebacker, maybe a safety, maybe wide receiver. So I actually do, at 21, I think the Bengals do take a receiver. Cordell Patterson from Tennessee. I just think, you know, best player available. Like I said, most of these teams down here will do. At number 22, we have the St. Louis Rams. Linebacker here, or they can go an offensive weapon. I think they go DeAndre Hopkins. They need wide receiver help. They lost Steven Jackson, so it's likely that they might not run the ball anymore. So it's kind of like, so I just think that's, you know, a smart pick by the Rams. Seeing they have 2 draft picks. At number 23, we have the Minnesota Vikings. Probably going to go defense. No quarterbacks. They're not going to draft a quarterback this year. They're probably going to give him 1 more year. So I think that's just, you know, that's how it's going to happen. I think Sylvester Williams from North Carolina is going to be defensive tackle from North Carolina. Is going to be the guy here. They just need to add to the defensive line because it's every year just going a little bit lower. So I just think they had 2 draft picks, so they can take a risk on one of them. Number 24, the Indianapolis Colts. They did a lot of free agency, a lot of stupid stuff, but they added depth to the team, so they overpaid a lot of players. So I think, you know, this pick could be anything. So I just, it's a tough pick for them. They do need offensive linemen. They did sign a couple in free agency. Could use a wide receiver, which I think they'll end up doing. I think they'll take Justin Hunter from Tennessee. It's kind of a reach at this point, but receivers are going. They need to add someone. Tavon Hilton, he's more of a slot receiver, really. Add another guy when Reggie Wayne leaves. Maybe Justin Hunter could be that guy. At number 25, we have the Minnesota Vikings. I think they'll take Tank Cardalian from Florida State, defensive end. Just the end of the defensive line. It's up there in age. Need to get a little bit younger there, so go defensive line twice. They could go linebacker. They do need a linebacker, but it's more likely that there will be a couple good linebackers in the second round for them. Do they have a second round pick? I could check. They do. Yeah. No linebacker fall to them. Number 26, the Green Bay Packers. Another just, I think, best player available, really. You know, they do need a running back. So I think at number 26, it's kind of Eddie Lacy. I'm going to go with Eddie Lacy for the Packers. He's kind of been up and down, mid first round pick to like a mid second round pick. He's just been up and down because of his hamstring. But I think 26, they lost on to Steven Jackson when they're really close. They could use a wide receiver, but like I said, a lot of them come off the board. They could take one second round or draft one next year. So I think they take Eddie Lacy, the best running back in this draft class. So I think that's just the smart pick. So at number 27, we have the Houston Texans. Need receiver, but a lot of them have been grabbed off the board. So they could go tight end. They can go secondary, maybe offensive line, linebacker. You know, there's a lot of stuff they can go with, but they could go, I think they could go safety here, really. They signed Ed Reed, but I mean, he's what, 35, I think. Actually, probably younger than that. They need a receiver. a tough one, really. It's just their biggest needs are pretty much taken. So I think they actually do. I think they'll take tight end. Zach Ertz from Stanford. They run the ball a lot. 2 tight end sets. Add another linebacker. They lost James Casey, who's kind of a hybrid back. So just add a tight end. I mean, he could be receiver. I think he's actually more of a receiver one. But they, like I said, they run two tight end sets a lot. So that could be an option there. At number 28, the Denver Broncos kind of had a weird fiasco during free agency. Got Welker, but lost Doomerville to Baltimore. They signed a couple corners and whatnot. I don't know what they could pick here. They need a pass rusher, but most of them at this point would be a reach. Shane Bailey would probably move in the safety, so I'm gonna say it's a tough one, really. I don't know. I think at 28, Denver Broncos. I think they'll take Bojan Werner from Florida State. He was like a top 10 pick at one point. He's kind of fell into the second round, but Doomerville's gone. They kind of need like a pass rusher type of deal. He showed some flashes. Put him at end. Doomer, I think, did play linebacker with the Broncos, but they could just throw him at end. He's kind of a big dude, so he could stop the run. So I think Bojan Werner is the pick at 28. At 29, we have the Patriots. I think they take Jamar Taylor from Boise State, the corner. Need help at secondary. They re-signed Talib. Added Adrian Wilson, but they're, Wilson's up there in age. Talib was 1-year deal, so I think corners here, Jamar Taylor. Number 30, the Atlanta Falcons, I think, is Desmond Trufant from Washington, the corner. They lost to Tom Robinson, Brett Grimes. So I think Desmond Bishop will go to, the Falcons. Also, on the Miami thing, I forgot they signed Brett Grimes. But he's up there in age, and he was injured last year, so there was no certainty he will be the Brett Grimes next year. Number 31, we have the San Francisco 49ers. Traded for Anquan Bolden, signed Nnamdi Asomugha. Deshaun Wilson left, so I think they'll go safety. Jonathan Crippen from Florida International. Small school, got a lot of hype, so I think they'll just take him. Best, why not? So at 31, he's kind of seems like a good pick, because they don't really have any other big needs. They have enough running backs, receivers they added to, corners they added to. So why not just replace a guy who left? They really don't. They have kind of replacement there, but it's kind of an iffy who's going to be there. Maybe they'll take Crippen and start him right away, but safety's really only big need at that point. And Dante Whitner's terrible, so maybe they'll just cut him. I don't know. At number 32, Baltimore Ravens. Keenan Allen from the California Bears, wide receiver. At number 32, you're really just going to take best player available. Second round pick they have, I don't know, I think they have a later pick. I'm not sure. Yeah, their last pick. They could go linebacker. At that point, it wouldn't be a reach. It's 32 pick, but they signed Ronaldo McClain, who he's good in running that, but he's off-field issues. They got him at a cheap deal, so I think they don't really have a major need at there right now. He's pretty young. He's only 24, so Keenan Allen, I think they'll just take him, add to the receivers since Bolden's gone. I think he's kind of a Bolden type player. I've never really seen him play, so at one point he was considered top wide receiver. But if 32, I think the Ravens, it's likely that they will probably go, receiver or linebacker. Doomerville, they don't need a pass rush. They had Doomerville, which was a steal. Corners, they're getting the corners back. Safeties, they could go safety, but like I said, the safety draft, at the point 49ers kind of just soaked up the whole safety thing. You probably won't see one until like mid to late second round. So that is it for the first mock draft. Next week it will be on, I don't know, it would be Wednesday or Thursday. I kind of want to do it Thursday because it's closest I can get to it. So I think that'd be the ideal day by Thursday afternoon. Wednesday, it just depends on what's happening and whatnot. There could be trades in that, and I want to make it to the latest point I can, so it depends. I think there's going to be a lot of draft day trades, so I'm not going to predict those because it's kind of just, I have no idea. You know, we could see the Ravens straight up all the way to the top 10 and just draft like whoever the hell they want. So that is it for this mock draft. I will see you next week for the last mock draft. And a little prediction type of thing. I'm going to try to shorten it up because this one's 40 minutes. I'm going to try to get it to like 25 or 30 next week. I did talk a lot about random shit. So thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. And see you next week. If you have any feedback on how I should change it for next week, comment below. And what do you think about mock draft? Do I overrate some players, or what picks you don't disagree with? Comment below, and whatnot. And I will see you next week with the final mock draft. I've only done this one in next week, so I kind of try to keep them closer. I don't try to do mock drafts all year because that's just confusing. But thanks for watching, and I will see you next week, Wednesday or Thursday, with the final mock draft before the draft. And the schedule comes out tomorrow on Thursday, April 18th, so I might talk about that a little bit. So thanks for watching. I said this many times. Goodbye.